prosper. So where we talk with our entrepreneurs about navigating the growth of their business. And today I'm thankful to have Peggy Verning with me. She is a health coach, and she's going to talk with us about how do we keep ourselves healthy so that we can be the best that we need to be in running our businesses. So Peggy is a health and wellness coach. She is certified in functional nutrition. She empowers women with habits and lifestyle shifts that will help them look and feel their best for sustainability and healthy life. Didn't read that too well, but anyway, you get the idea. She's going to keep you healthy. She's going to give us some tricks and things. So welcome, Peggy. So glad you're here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Lynn, for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So I'd love to have you tell me some of the key things that you think are most important for entrepreneurs to think about when they're trying to think, I am so busy with my life. How do I also stay healthy with my body?
Yeah. So what I love to share is my personal story because I went through my own health issues. And it's because I was not giving myself the unplugging, the taking a break away from, at the time I had a very high position in corporate, and it was just, I let everything just stack on, and I forgot to take care of my health. I forgot to take care of myself.
So
So,
important.
and that manifested itself in a skin disease that a lot of doctors told me would not go away. And I went to several doctors, and what I decided was, you know what, there has to be more to this. It has to be coming from the inside, and it's manifesting itself outside. So I changed my diet, changed my lifestyle, and all of my symptoms went away when all the doctors told me that they wouldn't. So the first thing that I would say is focusing on whole foods. It does a huge difference. It impacts your health so much. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that you could do, a lot of daily habits that you could stack on. But if you were to just say, I want to do one thing that's going to make the biggest impact, I would say is the changing the food, right? Focusing on whole foods.
So Peggy, what do you mean by whole foods?
By whole foods is food that comes from nature, right? If you look at it and you buy it at the store, there's pretty much for one ingredient, right? It's an apple, it's meat, it's a vegetable. It's not a box that has all these ingredients, a list of ingredients that's been man-made, processed. Some of them are ultra processed, which are highly addictive, and they've been put together from a scientist that knows how your tongue works and knows exactly what your tongue's looking for. And yeah, they put together these foods so you have a hard time putting them down. So when you really focus more on nature, you can't eat that much because it's nature. Your body knows how much it could have. So for example, if you're really craving something sweet and you have a banana, you probably, if you're super, super hungry, you probably could eat two at the most. And that's it, right? But if you're really hungry and let's say you don't have a banana around and you go for Oreo cookies, you could eat the whole box easily, right? But the calories are so much more, but they've been ultra processed. So you could have a hard time putting them down.
I find that I learn things all the time about food. And one thing I learned recently by talking to a chef actually was that if you buy uh, cheese that has been shredded, they put cellulose in there to keep it from sticking together. But cellulose is actually sawdust. Sawdust. Who knew they were eating sawdust, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a simple thing to cut your own cheese up, right?
Yes, yes. And actually, my husband, it's funny that you mentioned that. My husband just bought a machine on Amazon because I recently told him that like 2 months ago, we need to just do our own cheese, shred our own cheese. So we just started doing this. And he's like, this is for the birds. This takes too long. And he found something that it's a really innovative machine. It's like this big. It actually has suction that goes on your countertop. And you just put the cheese in and it's done in 10 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we're so happy with that because we're staying away from the sawdust or the starch that they're putting on the cheese so it could stay separate and not like clump together.
Yeah. crazy what's out there. Then we don't even know that we're eating these things.
I know. It really
So
is.
if it doesn't need a list of ingredients, then it's pretty healthy.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
definitely. And then you also have to determine what works with your body and what doesn't. There's things out there that you may be sensitive to. So it's always good to be very in touch with how something's impacting your body, right? Be intuitive about it. If you, after eating a certain meal, feel sluggish, feel bloated, and even if it's a whole food meal, then you have to think, okay, maybe my body's not reacting very good to this. Maybe I have to eat a little bit less of this, or maybe the combination of the foods impacted me. So you just have to be a little bit in tune with what you're putting in your body, because there's certain things, and there are also things that you could do a little bit in a healthier version. So let's say you decide, okay, today I'm not going to eat a whole food, I'm going to eat something that's processed, but there's different versions of it. For example, there's bread, sliced bread, that's terrible for you, right? Probably 20 ingredients if you look at the back. But then maybe you could buy sourdough bread in the store. It has like 3 ingredients, 3 or 4, if I'm not mistaken, or you can make it yourself. So there's like different versions that you can make. I like
Mhm.
making my own sourdough bread, but there's been times that I'm like, I don't have time to do it. It does take time. I love to do it, but sometimes, with a busy schedule, you can't be making sourdough bread every day. But it's nice to have an option of, okay, what's healthier and not feeling deprived. Because that's another thing is, especially us alpha females, when we go into a diet or we want to change our lifestyle, all of a sudden we get rid of everything that we love, and then we feel deprived, and then it feels all of a sudden like we're torturing ourselves instead of like loving ourselves.
So I've heard you talk before about movement and how important that is. Can you tell me tell me a little about that?
So movement, we need to move our bodies every day. We're made to move. If we're not moving, our bodies are not using the energy that we're eating as well. So daily we're supposed to move. Now, there's also a difference between resistance training and movement. So, movement, we should be doing at least 15 minutes a day of movement. But then there's also resistance training, which is building the muscle. As we age, it's important to not forget that our muscles are dwindling down, and we have to work on that as well. Now, going back to movement, sometimes we get in this mindset of movement has to look a certain way. Movement has to be, I'm going to the gym, I'm going, I'm doing a DVD, and it doesn't have to look like that. Movement can be something as simple as you're watching TV and during the commercials, you're squatting, right? Movement could be, I'm going to finish up the dishes and all of a sudden I'm going to clean my countertops with purpose, right? I'm going to really be intentional with my movement. So you can get movement in pretty easily, but a lot of the times we have this all or nothing mindset. Like we want to go from 0 to 100. We want to all of a sudden, not work out and go to the gym, and it takes us 2 hours, right, out of the day to be at the gym. And that's not sustainable. We want to think whatever we're implementing new to our life, we want something to be sustainable for the long haul. And then as we get better at it, we could definitely stack and make it more. I used to do all my workouts at home, and now like I figured out a schedule where I could do some workouts sometimes a week at the gym, doing more weights, and that works out for me too. But I got to that level, right? I didn't start there. I slowly build myself to that, and that's how we have to think about everything: on our movement, our what we're eating, how we're taking care of our mind. Taking that time to unplug, whether it looks like prayer, whether it looks like meditation, taking that time for yourself.
So I love that about unplugging. It's so critical, I know, to take time off. Very many business owners that I work with, I'll ask them when did they have a last vacation, and many of them haven't had one. I mean, a vacation where you totally unplug and don't work at all. It's been years, and
Right.
that's not good for your brain, and it's not good for your ability to do your work, right?
Exactly.
As you if you are able to unplug and give your brain a break and stop thinking about whatever it was, you're you come back refreshed, but your brain comes back with new ideas. You're much more
Exactly.
creative when you
Yeah.
have that chance to unplug and really relax. And unplugging doesn't have to be a vacation either. It could be a day, it could be an afternoon, it could be a good night's sleep.
Yes,
Right?
100%. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, as entrepreneurs, um, give us just two things that you think entrepreneurs really need to think about to make sure that they can be healthy, and like a nugget, something they can use to keep moving forward
I
with their
think
business.
number one is the mindset. I think a lot of the time that's our downfall is the mindset. So you go into it as something that is all or nothing, like I mentioned earlier, but you have to look at it as something that is improving your life instead of you're being hard on yourself and you're punishing yourself because all of a sudden you've gained some pounds, right? This is something that you're doing for yourself because you love yourself and you want to get to a healthy weight, or you want to just feel good, you want to have energy. And so if you find yourself all of a sudden you're talking to yourself in a negative way, and all of a sudden your mind is shifting to like, why am I doing this? This doesn't make sense for me. Then we have to say, okay, what am I saying to myself that is this empowering me instead of empowering me?
Mm.
Right. So I had a client one time that she was saying, I feel like there's so many rules. And I said, that's interesting, how you're seeing it as rule instead of something that you're just learning, right? It's habits. So why don't we kind of shift how you're thinking instead of looking at it as something negative like structure rules,
Mhm.
to maybe something that is helping you, making you feel good, right? It's just little habits that you're learning every day to stack on. And then she's like, wow, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was looking at it in a negative way and I don't even know why. So that's number one. Number two, I would say the environment is so important. And by environment, I mean, we can't just think of willpower. Like, there's no way we can't depend on that. So let's set up our environment, surround ourselves with foods that are going to be healthy, and it's going to be not cookies and ice cream all over our environment, but we could reach out and get water, and we could get our veggies, and we could get our fruits, and not only the food, but surround ourselves with people maybe thinking the same thing, right? That will cheer us on, like, oh yeah, you're eating so healthy, that's so good. If you're surrounding yourself with people who are always eating junk food and making the wrong choices, that also impacts you. So you have to be a little bit careful. Now, I'm not saying get rid of all your friends if your friends are that way. Just probably you could join communities that people are doing a health journey. There's so many groups on Facebook and others that you could find people that are in your journey, and you could kind of motivate each other that way. So I think if you could do two things, those are the two main things.
Great. That's great. Peggy, I know you probably have something that you would like to give to the audience. Can you tell us about it?
Yes, I have a 7-day clean eating, and it's 7 days clean recipes, and it kind of gives you a guide on how to clean eat. It tells you, even if you go out to a restaurant, what are some suggestions to do, and it also gives you guidance in terms of the dirty dozen and the kind of foods that you want to put into your body, and also gives you a shopping list for the meals that it suggests. And would I say go in and try to do it perfectly? If you do, that's great, but don't beat yourself up on it. It's something that you could use it as on ideas, right? But I definitely think it is a good way to start, especially if that's where you want to go and improve your journey.
That's great. That's great. And I will put that in the captions so everyone has a chance to pick that up. Um, and and that 7-day clean eating, I've taken a look at it. It's really great with lots of recipes, and it's really fun. So definitely pick that up, everyone. All right. So last note for Peggy. What have you got for us, Peggy? That um, you know, I just want you to reiterate those last two things you told us.
Yeah, so definitely work on the mindset. And it's funny because a lot of people don't expect me to say that because they're like, well, I thought you work on weight loss. Well, a lot of the times, our mind is the biggest battle that we have to really take care of when we're working on weight loss and we're working on a health journey, because there's a lot of negative talk that happens that could easily take over. So the mindset and then
So
the
don't
environment.
listen to that negative talk.
Right. Get rid of it. Get rid of it, because a lot of times a lot of good things could be happening, and we'll focus on all the negative, right? We'll be
Mhm.
like, oh, I don't know if the scale is where I want it to be, or but even though there's so many amazing things that are happening, like we're feeling like our clothes are feeling better, and we're feeling more energy, and we're feeling good about ourselves, but we'll see the number hasn't gone down as much as we wanted to, and all of a sudden the world's coming to an end. So I think the mindset is huge. And then definitely the environment. Just set up your environment to succeed. Clean out that pantry. That pantry needs to be cleaned out. We need
Throw
to
away
get rid
those
of
Oreos.
yes, get rid of the Oreos, get rid of the ice cream. Now, does it mean you can never have it again? Definitely not. But don't have it in your house. Like what I do with my families on the weekends, if we want to have a treat, we'll go out and get ice cream. Is it more expensive? Yes, but it's less out of our reach, right? We cannot have it in our reach. So that's why we do that. It's more like a strategy, because if it's there, the kids are asking for it the whole week. Like, can I have ice cream? And I'm like, no, it's not the weekend, So I think those are definitely key takeaways.
All right, great. Thank you, Peggy, so much for being with us today. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you for
And
having
I
me.
hope I hope you all take those nuggets and use them to help yourselves be healthy, because it's critical to stay healthy as a business owner, because what happens if you're not? You lose your business, really suffers. So
Yes.
important to stay healthy. All right. Thank you, Peggy.